One of the best elements of horror films is the idea that you can tell yourself, it's only a movie, only a movie, only a movie. But what happens when a film full of terrifying thrills has something devious going on in the real world? Tonight we're going to talk all about the curse of the Poltergeist films.
What you are about to hear is believed to be real, based on witness accounts, testimonies, and public record. This is terrifying and true.
I have an odd relationship with this particular topic. You see, I make my living in the film business, often selling horror films, comedies, westerns, whatever it may be. As a director and producer, I've worked on projects that started to, after a while, sincerely feel cursed, because making films is a marathon, not a sprint. And of course, as time goes on, the more work you put in, the more possibilities there are for something to go wrong, for something to go completely haywire. But when it comes to the Poltergeist series, there are so many incidents involved, it's hard to call it simply a coincidence. We'll dive deep into that and so much more after these quick words. Let me tell you a chilling story about one of the scariest haunted house films ever made, the 1982 movie Poltergeist. Directed by Tobe Hooper of Texas Chainsaw Massacre fame and produced by Steven Spielberg, this film tells the harrowing tale of a family whose home is invaded by vicious spirits that snatch their young daughter away to another world. But what's even more troubling than the eerie events in the movie and its sequels are the real-life tragedies that seem to follow those involved with these films. The series, marked by several unexpected deaths and some really strange happenings during production, led fans to talk about something they call the Poltergeist curse. Now, I'm not saying I believe in curses, but I can't ignore how unusually tragic the legacy of the Poltergeist movies has been. Here's a detailed look at this mysterious and somber history, starting with some odd facts that might just give you goosebumps. The saga of the Poltergeist films extends far beyond their plot lines, engulfed by a series of real-life misfortunes and eerie incidents that fuse the film's chilling narratives with an equally disturbing reality. The original movie, acclaimed for pushing the boundaries of haunted house storytelling, unwittingly set the stage for a series of events that would lead to talks of a curse, a notion both unsettling and intriguing. Adding a layer of unease, this dark legacy begins with a decision that might send shivers down your spine. Back in the days of the original Poltergeist, the filmmakers used real human skeletons as props, a choice dictated by budget more than morbidity, since, back in those times, it was somehow cheaper than crafting a fake one. But as revealed in the docuseries Cursed Films, some believe these human remains brought with them restless spirits, sowing seeds for unsettling occurrences both on and off the set. Further exploring the eerie anecdotes, an episode of True Hollywood Story dedicated to the Poltergeist curse paints a vivid picture of the peculiar mishaps that plagued the crew during the filming of Poltergeist 2, The Other Side. It tells of unexplained disturbances that wrapped an air of apprehension around the entire production, a production that daringly continued the use of real skeletons. Amidst this storm of unexplained phenomena, Craig T. Nelson, returning as Steve Freeling, shared a particularly spine-tingling tale. He spoke of how his colleague Will Sampson felt a malignant force at play behind the scenes. Driven by a need to quell this darkness, Samson, under the veil of night, performed an exorcism on the set. According to Nelson, this brave act seemed to calm the troubled waters, allowing the film to proceed without further unexplained disruptions. These stories weave a compelling, albeit harrowing, narrative about the series. They elevate the Poltergeist legacy from simply a collection of horror films to a saga marred by mystery and misfortune, where fact and fiction intertwine in the most unsettling of dances. One scenario in the terrifying Poltergeist film series stands out as particularly disturbing and tragic. It's about a young actress named Dominique Dunn, who played the role of Dana Freeling, the eldest daughter in the family haunted by spirits. Dominique was not just a rising star in Hollywood, she was also the younger sister of Griffin Dunn, a well-known actor. Poltergeist was her big break, her first major film, but, tragically, it turned out to be her last. Not long after Poltergeist graced movie theaters and captivated audiences with its ghostly tale, Dominique's own story took a dark turn, mirroring the horror of her film in a real and devastating way. At only 22 years old, her life was cut short in an act of violence that shocked everyone who knew her. The New York Times covered this tragedy in November of 1982, detailing how Dominique was attacked. She was strangled, leaving her unconscious, and despite being rushed to the hospital, she fought for her life on life support for 5 days before she finally passed away. The person behind this heinous act was none other than her former boyfriend, John Sweeney, a 26-year-old chef at the time. In a twist that adds to the horror, he confessed to the act, claiming it happened during an argument about getting back together. What followed was a trial that received a great deal of attention, not just for the act itself, but for the verdict. John Sweeney was convicted not of murder, but of involuntary manslaughter, a ruling that outraged many, including Dominique's father, Dominic Dunn. Dominic, a writer known for his pieces in Vanity Fair, shared his grief and disbelief in an article he penned in 2008, giving a voice to the pain of losing Dominique and the frustration he had with the legal system. Dominique's story is not just a chapter in the Poltergeist saga, but a reminder of the real-life horrors that can strike in anyone's life, leaving behind a legacy of sorrow and unanswered questions. Her promising career and life were both cut tragically short, leaving us to wonder, what if? In a tale as haunting as any ghost story. After the strange and sad story of Dominique Dunn, the Poltergeist series saw another eerie occurrence, this time involving Julianne Beck. Beck brought to life one of the most haunting characters in Poltergeist 2: The Other Side, a film that left many trembling with fear, not least because of Beck's portrayal of the terrifying Reverend Henry Kane. This character, a preacher with sinister intentions, became iconic, largely due to Beck's deeply unnerving performance. Sadly, this role would be his last, as Julian Beck passed away at the age of 60, just a few months after the movie was completed. Some people have pointed to Beck's death as another piece of evidence of the so-called Poltergeist curse that seems to loom over those involved with the films. However, it's important to note, as reported by the Los Angeles Times, that Beck was battling stomach cancer, diagnosed 2 years prior, in 1983. Knowing this adds an even more profound layer to Beck's portrayal of Reverend Kane. Imagine for a moment, amidst his struggle with terminal illness, he delivered a performance that captured the essence of fear and despair, making it all the more powerful and disturbing. Many, myself included, find that Beck used his illness to truly terrify audiences all over the world. The dedication Beck showed, pouring his energy into such a dark and demanding role while facing his own mortality, is both admirable and heart-wrenching. It brings a sense of real human struggle to the forefront of the spooky legends surrounding the Poltergeist films, reminding us of the bravery and resilience of those who entertain us, even in their own darkest hours. Heading into a deeper layer of the Poltergeist series mysteries, we stumble upon another somber tale. This time it's about Will Sampson, known for his gentle strength and deep presence on the screen. In Poltergeist 2: The Other Side, Sampson portrayed Taylor, a kind-hearted Native American shaman, a role that mirrored his own Muskogee heritage. He stepped into this role hoping to aid the haunted Freeling family. However, a year after the movie's release, in June of 1987, when Will was only 53 years old, he said goodbye to the world. Will's health had been wavering for a while. He had scleroderma, a disease that hardens the skin and connective tissues. This truly made his battle an uphill one. Even as he gifted us with a performance of a man of healing, behind the scenes he sought healing of his own. You see, Will underwent a lung transplant, a surgery that seemed successful at first, but as days turned into weeks, his body struggled. He suffered from not having enough nutrition, faced down an infection, and eventually had kidney failure, which no one could fully explain. This tragic mix led him into a coma, from which he never awoke, his last breath drawing a close on his 43-day fight post-surgery. Before his role in Poltergeist 2, Will had left an imprint on the hearts of many through his acting journey. His career took flight with his portrayal of Chief Bromden in the acclaimed movie One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest in 1975. He stood tall alongside Clint Eastwood in The Outlaw Josie Wales soon after, and he brought life to the big screen in the thrilling film, and to many, myself included, a beloved Jaws ripoff, Orca. Will Sampson's journey, both on-screen and in his quieter personal struggles, touches us with its weight and poignancy. It's another chapter in the book of stories surrounding the people who brought Poltergeist from script to screen, a tale wrapped in talent and shrouded by an unkind fate. The story of Poltergeist 3 is one that many fans and critics see as the darkest chapter in the series, not just for its eerie content, but due to the real-life tragedies and strange happenings surrounding its production. At the center of it all was Heather O'Rourke, the talented young actress who, despite being diagnosed with Crohn's disease, courageously stepped into her role as Carol Ann for the third time. Zelda Rubinstein, known for her role as the psychic, also returned, though they were the only main cast members to do so. Trouble seemed to follow the production from the start. The film's set was plagued by accident after accident, one such incident involving a malfunctioning underwater catapult that injured a stuntman, and another accident saw the director, Gary Sherman, breaking his leg. The choice of Chicago's John Hancock Tower as a primary location added an eerie backdrop, given the tower's grim history of construction accidents. The spookiness didn't end there. During filming, Zelda Rubinstein claimed to experience a sudden psychic shock that tragically coincided with her mother's passing. Adding to the supernatural aura, a photo taken of Rubinstein during this time showed her surrounded by an unusual halo of light, leading some to wonder if it captured the moment of her mother's passing. A special effects failure caused a terrifying moment when what was supposed to be a controlled explosion turned into a horrific blaze, endangering the lives of firefighters and trapping a maintenance worker inside. In a heroic effort, a stuntman not only saved the trapped worker, but also salvaged the film and cameras. This bravery earned him high praise from the director. However, the most heartbreaking event occurred away from set. Heather began experiencing severe health issues, which her family initially thought were complications from her diagnosed condition. Tragically, Heather's bright future was unexpectedly dimmed. She was just 12 years old when she left the world in 1988. Sadly, it was discovered too late that she had a serious congenital intestinal problem. Heather passed away in the hospital from septic shock, leaving behind a haunting moment when her mother reported seeing an apparition of Heather, telling her, quote, "I'm not coming back," even though her physical body was still in the care of doctors. The story of Poltergeist 3 is filled with more than its share of mystery and sorrow, concluding what many believe to be a cursed trilogy. Yet, at its heart, it's a tale of a young star's bravery and a series of coincidences so strange that they blur the line between reality and the supernatural. The tale of the Poltergeist movies might as well be its own horror story, set against the backdrop of actual events that could make one question the line between fiction and reality. At the heart of these films lies a series of misfortunes, so profound that they've sparked debates on whether the series was simply cursed, or if there could be possibly any other explanation. From the outset, the Poltergeist series drew attention not just for its spine-chilling narrative, but for the ominous cloud of tragedies that seemed to hang over its cast. The sudden and tragic deaths of several actors associated with the films were particularly harrowing, painting a grim picture that no script could match. Off the screen, the cast and crew faced numerous challenges, from accidents on set to a disturbing oversight that involved the use of real human skeletons as props, adding a macabre layer to the film's lore. But beyond the chills and thrills of the on-screen hauntings, these incidents evoke a sense of profound loss and sorrow. While horror enthusiasts might find the tales surrounding the films intriguing, it's a stark reminder that sometimes reality can be as frightening as fiction, and perhaps it would be kinder if such tragedies remained confined to the realm of make-believe. This saga leaves us pondering, are these series of unfortunate events merely coincidental, or is there something more sinister at play? It's a question that remains unanswered, leaving Poltergeist as a curious case study at the intersection of horror cinema and real-life tragedy. Terrifying and True is narrated by Enrique Couto. It's executive produced by Rob Fields and Mark Shields. Produced by Daniel Wilder with original theme music by Ray Mattis. If you have a story you'd like us to cover on the program, send us an email at weeklyspooky@gmail.com. And if you want to support us in a very direct way, go to weeklyspooky.com and click on Patreon. For as little as $1 a month, you can support us and allow us to keep the spooky rolling and rolling and rolling. And I want to say a big thank you to our Patreon podcast boosters, folks who pay just a little bit more to hear their names at the end of the show. And they are Johnny Nix, John Kalin, Bobbletopia.com, Jenny Green, Brent McCullough, Karen Wiemet, Jack Kerr, and Craig Cohen. Thank you all so much, and we'll see you next time right here on Weekly Spooky and Terrifying and True.